that mass deportation now, where they waved the signs, you'll remember from the Republican convention, mass deportation now looks horrible. It looks like the kind of moral thing, the kind of sort of moral degradation, the kind of just horror that none of us wanted, even I think on the most craven side. I don't think anyone wanted what we're seeing now.
So, Tim Miller, to you and to all the smart conversations you have with smart people, how do you operationalize resistance to something that's so profoundly unpopular, that is all the things Molly just said, but that is now been written into policy, that has now been funded by all the congressional Republicans laying over for Donald Trump?
Yeah, this funding, that's an important part of it, Nicole, what I wanted to kind of talk about to add on to all this, because Trump is only turning up the heat on this. Like the actions around immigration and ICE, just because he's gone underwater on this issue in the polls does not mean that they are going to slow down on their operations at all, just the opposite. And yesterday they rolled out these new kind of fascist trucks and cars that have Trump's name on it with Defend the Homeland. These kind of blood and soil type cars that they're going to be sending to places. They have all this additional funding for deportation centers, all this additional funding for ICE police, new people that are not going to be trained that well. We're going to have Dean Cain out there jumping out of vans and nabbing people, apparently, what he said he was planning on doing on Fox. So, this is not going to slow down. And so it is incumbent upon the Democrats to, I think, fight on this issue. And I think this is something that we've seen some change from over the past 8 months with the Democrats, where coming into the year, they thought immigration was a loser. Trump was popular on this issue. It's not worth fighting on. And I think kind of a combination of things, just how extreme their policies have been, the blowback to what we saw with El Salvador, people like Joe Rogan going out there. I mean, no Democrat wants to feel like they're getting to the right of Joe Rogan on immigration, right? And so I think there's a combination of things where Democrats have gotten some additional courage on this and realize that it can be a winning issue if they focus on the more extreme elements of it, the parts that regular people don't like, which is masked men jumping out of cars and nabbing people on the streets, and nabbing gardeners on the streets, nabbing people who are even American citizens in many cases. You have George Redis in California. It's that story of the veteran who got tear gassed and nabbed by ICE in California. So I think if the Democrats focus on those extreme cases, they're going to have 70–80% of the country on their side. You can see the number continue to move their direction.
There's so much to unpack, because the idea that they were afraid of the politics because I completely agree with your analysis, and the fact that they're not going to follow Joe Rogan is I think a lot of people would argue everything that is wrong in our politics broadly.